Welcome into the Dallas Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey here with all the latest things going on around the Dallas Cowboys. To begin today's news and rumors roundup, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant. First up, Dak is the QB. Should we be happy about it? Yes. Stop being dumb. The 20-25% of you who are wrong out there. No one, of course, who watches the show, though. Certain fans, and even some of the silly talking heads out there, are, to be blunt, out of control with their trade Dak for this guy or this guy or this guy. The Cowboys have paid Dak the going rate for a franchise QB. That's what he is. Whether you want to rank him 5 or 7 or 9 or 10 or 12 or whatever, that's all fine. There are not very many quarterbacks who are clearly in the tier above Dak Prescott. He's in that franchise QB tier. You should be happy you've got Dak Prescott. Stop acting like he's Jared Goff or Daniel Jones. The trade ideas that I keep seeing thrown out there by people, to be blunt, they're stupid. I'm not saying those people are stupid, but their opinions are wrong and silly. You have a franchise quarterback who you lucked into. You lucked into Dak Prescott because you wanted Connor Cook, you wanted Paxton Lynch. Now, if we want Dak Prescott to play better than what he did and by far in his only bad playoff game so far, I completely agree. This is not a Dak is perfect, he's the best quarterback. It's not what I'm saying. But he has shown throughout his NFL career, he's in that top 10 QB, and you might argue there's more like 11 or 12 top 10 QBs. I'm on board with that. But Dak's track record, since he's been in the NFL, if we just swapped out where he was drafted, and we pretended this was Kyler Murray so far, Deshaun Watson so far, Daniel Jones so far, whoever it is, if they were a top 10, top 5, top number 1 overall pick, the general consensus would be, wow, he's been awesome, he's your franchise QB. But this is something that we consistently run into with where a player was drafted. There are the priors of, well, he was a 4th-round pick for a reason. It's not actually very accurate. And I know, though, you can't pay him $45 million. I saw it in the live chat today. It's not what you're paying him, though. You don't ever have to pay Dak Prescott that level of money if you handle your salary cap correctly. Keep the cap hit down, add fake years to the deal, extend him before the contract is due, and you can keep his cap hit under $20-25 million like all these other teams are doing with their franchise QB. You can pay Dak $20 million max this year. That is more than doable in terms of building a quality team around your QB. You should be glad that Dak is your QB, just like you should have been glad, and I remember the takes back then too. You should have been glad Tony Romo was your QB. You should be glad that Dak is your QB as well. It's not easy to find this level of player. Pay him, keep the cap hit down, and have a window open as long as he's your QB. So you know my thoughts. I will still make the comments a safe space to an extent. I know how some of you guys get about having Dak as your QB. This will be the pinned comment on today's video. I expect to see 80% Y's, but head down there. Y for yes, N for no. If the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it and type your responses. Let's go to Tony Pollard now. How about trading him away? No. Hate it. Not a good idea. We're giving this the old fake news. Not often we do the fake news. We'll do it plenty through the off-season with various fake accounts out there. Blog and the boys discussed the idea, and I actually get where they were coming from. And their conclusion, by the way, was, it's not going to happen anyway. They said maybe a third for Tony Pollard, which I think is fair-ish value for a guy with one more year left on his deal. And the idea was built around maximizing his value. And from a pure NFL lens, it actually does make sense. He can get more playing time elsewhere, given the way the Cowboys handle Ezekiel Elliott. But I don't want to do this, and I don't think not that many people watching should want to do this. Now, the question is, just play him more, right? Like that's the goal in the end, correct? So if I'm the Cowboys, I'm going to give Tony Pollard more reps, because even if you trade him away, whatever pick you get, you've pretty much got to turn around and spend that on a new back, because Zeke's had injury issues. You want a better number 2 than Rico Dowdle, Corey Clement. So because you're contenders right now, you don't want to trade away Tony Pollard. And purely from the efficiency standpoint, wasn't even a competition. Ezekiel Elliott played, we'll call it 2.5x the number of snaps that Tony Pollard did. And he was far more impressive, Pollard was. More passing yards on fewer catches, not that many fewer yards on 100 fewer carries. Touchdowns, of course, favored Zeke. He was the goal line. I'm on board with that one. You got to use Tony Pollard more. It was an organizational failure for Zeke, who was admittedly not 100% down the stretch, to get the majority of the carries. Those final couple games, not using Tony Pollard, that's a failure of the coaching staff. Now, today's show is powered by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Cowboys125 to get yourself a 125% deposit bonus. You can bet on the Super Bowl. I'm going to bet my money on the Bengals because I'm from Cincinnati and they're the number 2 team. It's an issue once every 4 years, and we always cheer for the Cowboys anyway. And with the Super Bowl almost here, for the last time in a long time, we're bringing back the jersey deal. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys125 to sign up and deposit at least $100 to get yourself the 125% deposit bonus. And then email us jersey@chatsports.com, and we'll get you guys hooked up with a Dak Prescott or the aforementioned Ezekiel Elliott jersey. I'll put the email in the comment section and the description for you guys as well. This won't be available for much longer after this, as we enter the offseason. We want to wait to see what moves end up happening with rosters before we start giving away jerseys again. So go do it right now. $100 down at chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys125 to get yourself 125% deposit bonus. Let's talk free agency now. The Cowboys won't go sign Jessie Bates. I'm going to give this one 4 stars. I don't get your hopes up. You guys know that I love Jessie Bates. He's a fantastic free safety, but Mike Fisher was right when he said Dallas is not going to go about this route. He will cost more than Catboy Stephen Jones is willing to spend. And the Cowboys have not valued this safety spot. Remember all those years ago when Tyrann Mathieu became available and was an option, and the Jones boys were too busy out of the country they fell asleep at the wheel and didn't have interest in Tyrann Mathieu because he wasn't a scheme fit. They were stupidly wrong on that one. But Bates is going to cost you too much. His numbers were down a little bit, but he's played great in the postseason this year. He is a rangy, single-high free safety. I would expect the Bengals could just franchise tag Jessie Bates as well. I don't think they're going to just let him leave and say, oh, well, he's gone now. Not a great tackler, but he is dynamic in coverage. Look, I would love Bates. And safety is a need for you because that's where we're at with the rosters. Jaron Kearse, DeMonte Casey, and Malik Hooker are all free agents. I doubt to retain all 3 guys. So because of that, got to keep an eye out for safety help. We'll talk more about some other options, both today and with a more in-depth full video on the channel with some safety free agent targets at some point this offseason. So if you haven't already, hit the big red button and subscribe. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. We are less than 200 away for 124,000 subscribers. Let's get there quickly before the Raiders report ends up catching us. Subscribe right now. Here are some more realistic safety names in mind. Marcus May would not have been, but coming off the injury, now there you go. Jabril Peppers, Deshaun Elliott, also coming off of injuries, could be cheap buy low guys. Ronnie Harrison shouldn't be that expensive. Justin Reed, I like him a lot. Did not have a great year in Houston. He and the coaching staff, I think, had some issues in the end. I'd be down to bring in Reed out of Stanford if he were at the right cost. So is this the year, at long last, that Dallas finally invests at the safety position? Type in F for finally, or have some fun. Head in the comments and type in S to tell me to shut up about the damn safeties already. Could Will Fuller head to the Dallas Cowboys? That's our next rumor here on the Cowboys Report. I'll give this 2 stars. I actually think depending on what you do, of course, with Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, Malik Turner, Cedric Wilson, etc., this could make some sense. This could be a good vertical threat replacement for Michael Gallup if the Cowboys end up not retaining him. Now, the Fuller, when he's healthy, is really good. He is a fantastic vertical threat. He gets open, makes big plays, a really, really, really good receiver. And because he's played in just 2 games last year due to injury and a suspension that carried over from 2020 for PEDs, you could get him fairly cheap. Now, I don't know if you're really going to get 2020 Will Fuller, who was on pace for well over a 1,000-yard campaign. But what if I could get Will Fuller for 1 year, $5 million? Cut his contract in half from the past year. I've got interest there. Producer Jeremy, a Texans fan, says, no, Tom, don't do it. You can't have that hope because Will Fuller is always hurt. We worry about Tyron Smith always being hurt. Will Fuller's even worse, and he's younger. In the words of producer Jeremy, his hamstrings are made of cotton candy, which is a weird line, but I kind of find it funny. He can't stay on the field. So if you're banking on Will Fuller being wide receiver 2, I don't know about that one. But what if you could bank on him being wide receiver 3? That could end up being a little bit better in the end for Will Fuller. Now, the injured finger was not fun, by the way. He had that injury in the offseason, so hopefully that gets, healthier as the year goes on. That medical does have to check out, or as the option should say goes on. Medical has to check out on that one. But the upside is at least intriguing if you are the Dallas Cowboys looking for some receiver help, depending, of course, on what goes down with Michael Gallup and the other free agents on your roster. So with free agency just around the corner, name a player who you guys want to sign. I'd say keep it realistic, but I've given up on that dream. So let me know in the comments section. Let's talk coaching staff now for the Cowboys. Is Kellen Moore? He's back as the OC, which some of you are in absolute shambles over. Kellen Moore did not get the Dolphins head coaching job as most expected, so he's now set to return as the Cowboys offensive coordinator. We are a couple months removed from having legitimate, valid conversations on should Kellen Moore just replace Mike McCarthy as head coach, given how great the offense was to begin the year. Then the back half of the year, the offense completely fell apart, and the play calling was bordering on dumpster fire, or cheeks, as producer Jeremy says, funnily, in my ear. Will Mike McCarthy now have more input since he's facing a bit of we'll call it make or break season this year, a hot seat for the Dallas Cowboys. So what is your confidence level in Kellen Moore? We're going to talk more about the Cowboys' overall coaching staff plus a change they made in a second, but I want to hear from you guys. Scale it for me 1 to 100. 1 being you think he is terrible. You want Jason Garrett and Linehan back. 100 being he's the best young offensive mind in the NFL. There is one change on the coaching staff. Robert Prince, who has ties to Kellen Moore, is now the team's new wide receivers coach. Spent 1 year with Houston in that role, was a longtime Lions wide receivers coach, overlapped briefly with Kellen Moore, the player, in Detroit, and was also the team's wide receivers coach when Kellen was the QB in his final year, was briefly the Boise State offensive coordinator and the Colorado passing game coordinator as well. Remember, the position coaches are often not much more than convenient excuses if things go poorly. I think it's fine as a hire. I'm not going to know a lot about the in and outs of a wide receivers coach. So this then, for now, change coming? I'm not so sure. The Cowboys coaching staff. Mike McCarthy, your head man. Kellen Moore, OC. Dan Quinn, you kept him somehow as DC. John Fossil back as special teams coach. On the offense side, your top 5 guys. Joe Philbin, that's the one I'd like to change. The O-line fell apart when Joe Philbin did, as I saw called on Twitter by my boy Joey Ikes, the stupid shuffle of rotating offensive linemen for no reason mid-game. Doug Nussmeier back as QB's coach. Skip Pete at running backs. Lunda Wells for tight ends. And then Robert Prince hired at wide receiver. Then defensively, Joe Witt sticks around as your passing game coordinator. Glad on that one. I don't think he's getting hired. Aiden Dirty back as D-line coach. Leon Lett, of course, the assistant defensive line coach, Cowboys legend. Scott McClurley and Al Harris, Mike McCarthy guys, back at linebackers and DBs coach respectively. And George Edwards, for now, still has the senior defensive assistant role.